There's a smell in your kitchen right now, sharp and fake, coming from 6 different bottles that all do the same thing. You've got one for the counter, one for the stove, one for the floor, one for glass, one for the bathroom, and one more under the sink you bought 3 months ago and used once. You're standing in front of all of them and you're reaching for the counter spray because there's a grease spot near the stove. And it works. It does. But your grandmother cleaned a kitchen that fed 9 people through the worst decade in American history. She cleaned it every single day, and she never owned a single one of those bottles. Not one. What she had cost 47 cents, and it cleaned everything in her house. The counters, the floors, the glass, the drains, the laundry, everything. That's what we're talking about today. Most people assume their grandparents used homemade cleaners because they couldn't afford the real thing. That's the story the cleaning product industry has spent 70 years telling you. The truth runs the other direction entirely. Before 1945, most American households cleaned with some combination of white vinegar, baking soda, washing soda, bar soap, and salt. That's it. 5 things. They worked. They worked on grease, they worked on mildew, they worked on laundry, on windows, on hardwood, on porcelain. The chemistry hasn't changed. Acetic acid still breaks down grease. Sodium bicarbonate still deodorizes and scours. These aren't folk remedies. They're the same active ingredients sitting inside those bottles under your sink right now, just diluted and repackaged. What changed was the post-war consumer boom. Between 1947 and 1960, companies like Procter & Gamble, SC Johnson, and Colgate-Palmolive launched hundreds of specialized cleaning products, not because kitchens got dirtier, because television got invented. Suddenly, you could run an ad showing a woman embarrassed by her flaws and then sell her the solution. By 1955, the average American home had gone from 5 cleaning staples to over a dozen branded products. By 1970, it was closer to 30. The American cleaning product industry is worth over $42 billion today. $42 billion. For an entire category of goods that existed in almost no American home before the Second World War. And the per-household cost is real. The average American family now spends between $600 and $900 a year on cleaning supplies. That's not counting paper towels or trash bags, just the chemical products. But Nana never switched over. Not during the 50s when the ads were everywhere. Not during the 60s when her neighbors started filling cabinets with new bottles. She kept her vinegar jug, her box of baking soda, her bar of Fell's naphtha, and her tin of washing soda right there on the shelf above the wash basin. Same spot for 40 years. She never bought a single cleaning product. Not one. Here's exactly what she used. The first method, the vinegar salt floor seal. This replaces your floor cleaner, all of them, tile, linoleum, sealed hardwood. Nana mopped her kitchen floor every evening after supper. Same bucket, same recipe. 1 gallon of warm water, 1/2 cup of white vinegar, 2 tablespoons of table salt. That's it. The vinegar cuts grease and disinfects. The salt acts as a mild abrasive that also helps the solution dry without streaking. You mop it on and you don't rinse. It dries clean. The floor has a slight seal to it afterward, almost like it's been polished. That's the salt. It leaves a micro-thin mineral layer that actually resists new dirt. Modern floor cleaners run anywhere from $6 to $14 a bottle. This solution costs about 11 cents per gallon. You could mop your floors every day for a year and spend less than you'd spend on 1 bottle of the brand name stuff. One thing, if you have unsealed hardwood, skip this one. The vinegar can dull the raw wood over time. But if your floors are sealed, tiled, or vinyl, this is the only floor cleaner you'll ever need. Nana's kitchen floor was old white linoleum with little blue flowers on it. She mopped it so often with this recipe that the linoleum outlasted the house. The second method, the baking soda soft scrub. This replaces your bathroom scrubbing cleanser, your soft scrub, your Comet, your Ajax, all of them. 3 tablespoons of baking soda, enough water to make a thick paste, about 1 tablespoon. Stir it together in a small dish or right in your palm. You spread this on porcelain, on your tub, your sink, your toilet bowl. You scrub with a rag or a brush. It removes soap scum, hard water stains, and rust marks without scratching the surface. Baking soda is softer than porcelain, so it cleans without damaging. That's important. A lot of modern scouring powders are harsher than they need to be and actually wear down the finish over time, which makes the surface harder to clean, which makes you buy more product. Funny how that works. If you've got a tough stain, add a few drops of white vinegar directly to the paste while it's sitting on the stain. It'll fizz. That reaction is carbon dioxide releasing, and it helps lift the stain out of the pores. Let it sit for 5 minutes, then scrub and rinse. Total cost per use is roughly 3 cents. A bottle of soft scrub runs about $4.50. I watched Nana clean the bathtub this way hundreds of times. She kept a mason jar of baking soda right on the back of the toilet tank, never moved. It was just part of the bathroom, like the towel rack. The third method, the newspaper window shine. This one replaces glass cleaner, your Windex, your generic blue spray, whatever's in that bottle with the trigger handle. 1 cup of warm water, 1 cup of white vinegar. Mix them in any spray bottle you've got. If you don't have a spray bottle, just dampen a rag with the solution. Now here's the part most people get wrong. They spray it on and wipe with paper towels or a microfiber cloth and they get streaks. Nana used newspaper, old newspaper, the black and white pages, not the glossy inserts. The ink in old newsprint acts as a very fine polishing compound. The paper itself is more rigid than cloth, so it doesn't leave lint or fibers behind. You spray the solution on the glass and you wipe in one direction with the newspaper, top to bottom. No circles, one direction. Then you flip the paper to a dry section and buff the same way. The glass will be clearer than anything Windex has ever done for you. I'm not exaggerating. There's a reason every professional window cleaner over the age of 60 knows this method. Cost per use, maybe 2 cents if you already get the paper. Most of you have old newspaper sitting in a recycling bin right now. Nana saved her newspapers in a stack by the back door. She said, "I already paid for the news, might as well get 2 uses out of it." The fourth method, the washing soda degreaser. This replaces your kitchen degreaser sprays, your range hood cleaners, your oven door wipes. Washing soda is different from baking soda. It's stronger. The chemical name is sodium carbonate versus sodium bicarbonate. You can find it in the laundry aisle. Arm & Hammer makes a box of it. It's been there for over 100 years. Costs about $4 for a 3.5 pound box, and that box will last you 6 months to a year. For a general kitchen degreaser, dissolve 2 tablespoons of washing soda in 1 quart of warm water. Put it in a spray bottle. This will cut through the grease on your stovetop, your range hood filter, the top of your refrigerator where that sticky dust builds up, your oven door. Spray it on, let it sit for 2 to 3 minutes and wipe. For heavy grease, like inside the oven or on a range hood filter, you can soak the item in a stronger solution. 1/2 cup of washing soda per gallon of hot water. Let it soak for 30 minutes. The grease will slide right off. One warning, washing soda is alkaline. Wear gloves if your hands are sensitive, and don't use it on aluminium. It will discolor aluminium pots and pans. Everything else, it's safe and effective. A bottle of commercial kitchen degreaser runs about $5 to $7 and lasts maybe a month if you cook regularly. This costs pennies per batch. The fifth method, the Fels Naphtha Stain Bar. This replaces your stain remover sprays, your Shout, your OxyClean stain pens, your pre-treating solutions. Fels Naphtha is a bar soap. It's been manufactured since 1894 and you can still buy it today for about $1.20. 1 bar lasts most families 3 to 4 months. For stains on clothing, you wet the stained area with warm water, rub the Fels Naphtha bar directly on the stain and work it in with your fingers. Then let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes before washing normally. Grass stains, blood, grease, food, ring around the collar, it handles all of them. For really stubborn stains, Nana would grate about a tablespoon of the bar into a small bowl, add just enough hot water to dissolve it, and make a concentrated paste. She'd press that paste into the stain, let it sit for an hour, and then wash. I never once saw a stain survive that treatment, not once. This is the one that surprises people the most because a $1 bar outperforms products that cost $8 to $12. The chemistry is simple. Fels Naphtha is a surfactant-heavy soap with natural solvents. It's doing the same thing the spray bottles do, just without the water, the fragrance, the dye, and the plastic. The sixth method, the vinegar fabric softener. This replaces liquid fabric softener and dryer sheets entirely. 1/2 cup of plain white vinegar added to the rinse cycle of your washing machine. That's it. That is the entire method. The vinegar breaks down detergent residue, which is what makes clothes feel stiff in the first place. It softens the fibers, it eliminates static, and no, your clothes will not smell like vinegar. The smell evaporates completely during the dryer cycle. If it didn't, Nana's whole house would have smelled like a pickle jar, and I promise you it did not. Her house smelled like coffee and cedar. Fabric softener is a $4 billion industry built on solving a problem caused by using too much detergent. That's worth saying again. You buy fabric softener to fix what your detergent does wrong, and the dryer sheets coat your clothes in a thin chemical film that actually reduces the absorbency of towels and the breathability of cotton over time. A jug of white vinegar costs about $3 and lasts roughly 25 loads. A bottle of name brand fabric softener costs about $8 for the same number of loads. Dryer sheets run another $6 to $9 for a box. Nana thought dryer sheets were one of the funniest things she'd ever heard of. She said, "They're selling you a tiny towel soaked in wax and calling it progress." The seventh method, the salt and lemon drain opener. This replaces your Drano, your liquid plumber, and your enzyme drain cleaners. 1/2 cup of salt poured directly into the drain. Then the juice of 2 lemons squeezed right in on top of the salt. Let that sit for 30 minutes. Then boil a full kettle of water, about 8 cups, and pour it slowly down the drain. The salt scours the inside of the pipe. The citric acid from the lemon dissolves organic buildup, soap scum, and light grease clogs. The boiling water flushes it all through. For a serious clog, you can follow up with 1/2 cup of baking soda poured in, then 1 cup of vinegar. Let that fizz for 15 minutes, then flush with another kettle of boiling water. Between these two treatments, you can handle 90% of household drain issues without ever pouring a chemical down your pipes. Those chemical drain openers cost $7 to $12 per bottle. They're caustic, they're dangerous if they splash, and plumbers will tell you they actually damage old pipes over time, which leads to more expensive problems down the road. Salt and lemons never hurt a pipe. I think about Nana's hands sometimes. She had strong hands, working hands, but they were always clean, and the house was always clean, and nothing about the way she kept things ever felt like drudgery. It felt like competence. There's a difference. She didn't clean her house because she had to perform for anyone. She cleaned it because she respected the space she lived in, and she respected herself enough to maintain it well. And she did it all for less than 50 cents a month. 50 cents. While the rest of the world was being told they needed a different bottle for every surface in the house. There's a dignity in knowing how things actually work, in not needing someone to sell you the answer to a problem you already know how to solve. Nana never thought of herself as frugal. She thought of herself as capable, and there's nothing old-fashioned about that. That's just a person who refused to forget what she already knew. I miss her every time I pick up the vinegar jug. Every single time. Next week, we're getting into something Nana was very particular about, her laundry system. She had a method for getting whites whiter than bleach ever could, and she did it with something you've probably got in your pantry right now. Cost her less than a dime a load. I watched her do it every Monday for 20 years. That one's going to surprise you. Before I go, I want to hear from you. What's the one cleaning product you spend the most money on that you suspect you don't actually need? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one of them, and some of the best methods on this channel came from your families, not just mine. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one.